From preventing the spread of Ebola outbreaks in Africa to steep reductions in food and medical care for refugees in Bangladesh.
What do we do?
The shock dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development is reverberating around the world. In Washington, thousands of job losses came with little warning.
It's very clear that there are going to be huge, significant gaps. People are already suffering and dying as we speak because of this lack of aid that we took out of nowhere.
From within hours of his taking office, USAID was in President Donald Trump's sights. Elon Musk boasted of feeding the agency into the wood chipper. The Trump White House took a chainsaw to foreign aid, cutting nearly $60 billion in commitments and eliminating USAID entirely, wrapping what's left into the State Department.
We owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest.
The whole system has just been destroyed. Most of the programs have either been eliminated, suspended, or they've had stop work orders.
The dismantling has been ruthlessly efficient. More than 90% of U.S. foreign aid grants have been cut. That means in Ethiopia, there's no funding for 5,000 workers focused on stopping the spread of HIV and malaria. In Ukraine, humanitarian programs that helped 1 million people are suspended. In Thailand, hospitals serving 100,000 refugees from Myanmar have shut. Lester Munson was a senior USAID official during the administration of George W. Bush. He's critical of the decision to end America's International Development Agency, founded at the peak of the Cold War as the U.S. competed for hearts and minds around the globe.
I think the thing that is deeply concerning for a lot of us in Washington is this really a huge pivot for the U.S. government away from engagement with all kinds of countries across the world and a pulling back, an isolationist instinct here.
Majority of our members' programming is actually in Africa.
The end of USAID is having a huge impact on aid programs around the world, including ones run from Australia. Matthew Morey is the CEO of the Australia Council for International Development.
Never in the history of aid programs has a country made such a quick and dramatic shift. I think the image that I've heard people harken back to many times is that image of Elon Musk standing on the stage with a chainsaw, or references to putting the USAID through a wood chipper, and that's been the way it's happened.
On the ground in places like Nepal, the cuts have had an immediate impact.
It has affected our program severely.
KP Upadhyay is a senior advisor with MSI Nepal, which provides sexual and reproductive health care for women. Some of its key programs have been suspended.
There was no notice at all. U.S. aid office was closed immediately, and it has severe impact in our program as well as in the as a whole in the country also.
MSI works in some of the most remote regions of Nepal and serves some of the poorest women. Supplies of popular family planning products funded by USAID have stopped, and there's no word on when they'll resume.
There is no information at all. There is total uncertainty. So total uncertainty. We don't know what is going to happen. So immediately what we are doing, we are not expecting any immediate support from U.S. government. We don't expect any immediate change in their policy.
MSI Nepal received $3.6 million in funding from Australia in the last 5 years through the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The federal government will provide more than $5 billion in overseas development assistance this year, and Matthew Morey hopes Australia will commit even more.
In the wake of these USAID cuts, what would you like to see Australia do?
It's a huge opportunity for Australia to be a good neighbor to our Pacific partners. If you think of our foreign policy as a stool and diplomacy as one leg of that stool and defense is another, Australian aid is another one of those really important legs to that foreign policy stool to our tools of statecraft.
730 has confirmed DFAT is working with governments in the Pacific region to identify gaps caused by USAID cuts. Lester Munson worries with the U.S. scrapping aid, that gap will be filled.
It's really given an opportunity for China to step into the breach left by the absence of USAID and attempt to win the hearts and minds of other countries around the world.
Munson points to the recent earthquake in Myanmar. Before USAID was disbanded, it would have overseen a large American response. That's not what happened this time.
The U.S. Was providing a little bit of assistance, but the on-ground relief team, called a Disaster Assistance Response Team, or a DART, was actually pulled back to Washington in the middle of their work. China immediately announced that it was going to provide more assistance to Myanmar, and it's just terrible to see the U.S. Kind of score these own goals and really leave the field for China to win.
For now, the remaining programs of American foreign aid are under review. When it's finished, it's likely what was the world's largest international development budget will be a fraction of what it was.